Our Twitter account has been attacked many times before. And then we saw the tweet from our account. It was like, oh no, this time they penetrated much further. There was probably about a 30-minute window where we were really guessing what went wrong. We're checking systems.
Hey guys, welcome back to Altcoin Buzz Spotlight with me, Leah Heilpan, the show where we speak to entrepreneurs, innovators, and thought leaders in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. Joining me today is Changpeng Zhao, also known as CZ, the CEO of Binance. We're going to be talking BNB coin, its utility, how to get listed on Binance. We're going to be looking at the markets, and of course, we're going to be talking about the latest Twitter hack. So make sure to stay tuned, and if you enjoy the segment, then don't forget to hit the like button and let us know in the comment section below who you want us to interview next. CZ, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Very good. Well, could be better, but overall, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, it could be better. I mean, it's been crazy the last 24 hours. We've seen what's happened with that Twitter hack, and Binance and you were one of the first people to actually be affected. So I just want to know your thoughts. What did you think what was happening when it happened? And did you expect it to be such a large scale? We saw Joe Biden, Obama, Jeff Bezos, all got affected, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian. Did you expect it to leave the community?
No, I didn't expect it to be that large. Since it was that large, I feel very privileged to be one of the very first personal accounts to be hacked.
Right.
When it happened first, I think it happened to the Binance account first, and then the Binance, our social media manager, messaged us immediately because he's on that account 24/7. And then a few minutes later, it happened to my account, and we have been attacked. Our Twitter account has been attacked many times before. Mm-hmm. Twitter has some weaknesses in their security systems where a random person keep trying to log in with your Twitter handle, which is public, and then random passwords. When they try that enough, they will lock your Twitter account. It will lock the actual real user out. So we had that happening many times before. It takes a while to get the account back. Initially, so we get logged off when that happens. Initially, we thought it was that. And then we saw the tweet from our account. It was like, oh no, this time they penetrated much further. It was like, what happened? And then as we were trying to figure it out, it only took like maybe 30 minutes for the next, I think Coinbase or Kraken and a few other crypto exchanges to be hacked. I was like, okay, so then it's probably not our issue. The issue is probably on the Twitter side. So there was probably about a 30-minute window where we were really guessing what went wrong. We're checking systems. So that was about 2-3 a.m. this morning. So I didn't sleep well didn't get too much sleep there. But then as soon as we found out that more other people are affected as well, not just Binance, we said, well, that's probably not our security issue. And then I actually went to sleep. This morning I woke up and then found out like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Joe Biden, all of these guys. So it's great. Okay, well, I'm the first one. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people were saying, like only the cool kids were getting hacked, right? Some people were sitting there jealous that they weren't hacked. So absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think absolutely unprecedented. Lucky you got some sleep. I think I was just watching the whole thing, unable to sleep, watching it go down live. So we're pushing through on this interview. But speaking of Twitter, every day we always find out somebody says, well, I've just been listed on Binance. So I'd love to know, and our audience would love to know, how can people get their cryptos actually listed on your exchange?
Okay, so we have a pretty transparent listing process. It's transparent and black box at the same time. We don't give any people we don't give any contact information for projects teams. So we have an online form for people to fill out, and they can fill out the information, and our research team will take a look at it. And we have a very rigorous process. But to break it down, it's actually very simple. If your project have a large number of users, you'll get listed even without talking to us. So there are a few projects who are like that. They just got a large number of users, and as an exchange, we want to provide what our users want, and we are the biggest exchange in the industry, and a lot of their users will overlap with ours, and our users will make those requests. If you don't have a lot of users, then it gets a lot trickier. Then we look at we look at the product. If you have a good product, then great. If you don't have a product yet, then it gets even trickier. Then we look at the team history and stuff like that. But overall, I think I did document this in a post about 2.5 years ago. I written that on LinkedIn. And this is like a few more detailed do's and don'ts. But I typically always encourage projects to focus on developing their users. So if you have, I don't know, 100,000, 500,000 users, if you have over 1 million users today, I think we'll pretty much automatically list. So that number may change over time depending on how crazy crypto gets. But that's basically that's basically the process. Is that the process is a little bit trickier because we do get a very large number of applications from different projects, and we can't respond to them all. So we just said we're not going to respond at all. You submit the information, and then sometimes we initiate contact to ask for some more questions. Sometimes we just not randomly, sometimes we'll just list. There's not a whole lot of information or feedback going on. So that's what really drives some people crazy or uncomfortable. But we unfortunately can't talk to everybody. We just collect the information and we do the analysis to our best extent. And often there are collaborative approaches that we can achieve with projects, and we will reach out to them, but that's a very small percentage of the cases.
Yeah, and I think it generally sounds like, if there's a demand for it, if there's enough users, if the project's big enough, then they'll be listed. But crypto right now is very interesting. We've seen the markets move, well, mainly the alts moving quite a lot at the moment. But Bitcoin seems to be sort of behaving a bit like a stable coin, doesn't it? So I want to get your thoughts. What do you think is going on right now?
So this is how markets work, right? So whatever's hot is hot, and then also people got to understand there are positive correlations between certain assets. There are negative correlations between certain assets, and sometimes over time they change. So typically, most crypto are positively correlated to Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up, everything else goes up a little bit. But there are times when everyone's rushing to Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin's going up really quickly, it actually sucks blood out or the funds out of the altcoins and also potentially other markets, and just Bitcoin's growing, everything else is dropping. We're seeing the reverse happening right now, which I think probably, I don't know, it could be a number of triggers. Nobody really knows. It could be DeFi, it could be quantitative easing, stimulus packages, could be a lot of different things. But now the alts are hot. A number of them are, a small number of them are rising quickly, and they're gaining a lot of interest. So, and Bitcoin is actually staying stable. Why is that? I don't really know. But things like this happen. But what we've seen in general is what's good for Bitcoin is typically later good for altcoin. What's good for altcoin is later for good for Bitcoin. Like, even though they sometimes diverge, doesn't go like fully in parallel, but they're on a larger time scale, they're still very much correlated. So I think what's good for Bitcoin is generally what's good for altcoin and vice versa. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, times are just so unprecedented, aren't they? With everything that's happened with the coronavirus, we've seen, riots in America and so on. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see. That you're absolutely right. But you have recently had the Binance Off the Charts conference. So tell me about this. How was it? And what were the highlights for you?
I think the conference, to be very frank, was actually amazed me a little bit. I didn't get that involved in the preparation of it. Our marketing team did most of it. So I thought it was just going to be a normal conference with a day schedule and etc. I didn't expect there were going to be multiple stages simultaneously, and we invited so many speakers. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our speakers as well. We got some really good selection of speakers, I think. And I got to talk to Akon. I never imagined that would happen in my life, but that was quite interesting. But I think the most important highlight for me was the internationalization, the globalness of it. So we had sessions in Spanish, in other languages, in Chinese. We had like. And I think that truly reflects our user base, which is Binance is a really global exchange, and blockchain have no borders. So I think that aspect of it was really well done, and I was actually quite amazed. So kudos to the team. I actually really didn't do that much, but I was kind of amazed given the small team that we have. They were able to organize for the first time a event of that complexity. So and I want to thank all the users for watching and supporting us. So yeah, overall I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When you say it's sort of symbolic of Binance, it's symbolic of this cross-border industry that we're all so delved into now at this point. So absolutely. And I'm also a big fan of Acorn. So we have that in common. That's also really exciting. I'm sure that must have been great for you. But it's been an interesting year. We've had the Bitcoin halving. So how has Binance actually seen a change in the way people have traded since the halving? Do you think you have more users since then? Are there any correlations here?
So we actually, from the user growth perspective, we were actually seeing user growth early, from much early in the year, and it kind of continued through. So we didn't see a jump just before after the halving. And I think from a pricing perspective, we also didn't see a sharp jump. I think looking at the previous two halvings, we also saw that the price doesn't jump right the day after halving. They typically take if you look at the next year after halving, they typically go up quite a lot. So I think a lot of people don't really trade on that kind of information. Well, that information is known like basically 11 years ago. So it's not such new information. It's just, okay, yes, it did happen this year. So I think there are more other reasons probably contributing to the user growth that we have seen this year. Mostly, unfortunately, most of them are actually probably triggered by COVID-19. And later on the economic shutdown, and then later on the quantitative easing, etc. So I think a lot of those actually probably contribute to those other reasons, which are actually maybe not strictly tied to halving. Halving typically have a much longer term impact, which given the new supply of Bitcoin are much more are reduced. So the fees for mining are gone up, and the supply is limited, and we're seeing more people come into crypto space. So I think the people coming into crypto space is not really directly a result of halving. People who don't have Bitcoin doesn't come into Bitcoin because there's a halving. They come into Bitcoin for other reasons. But as more people come in and less new supply coming out, it's going to have a long-term impact on the price of Bitcoin. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing on the data as well. We didn't see a sharp jump just after the halving, but I think most of our we do see very large user growth right now. I think we increased about 47% in Q1 of this year versus Q4 last year. And then we saw another further, probably around like 113% increase in the second quarter as well, especially for institutional clients. So we've definitely seen the numbers rising, but to be very frank, I'm not sure if it's directly related to halving, but I think halving will have a long-term impact.
Yeah, I think that makes absolute sense. I can't imagine somebody getting into Bitcoin, joining Binance just because of the halving. I don't think they'd even know what that is. I think I tried to explain it to my dad and he couldn't even wrap his head around it, bless him. So it makes absolute sense. And you also have BNB. So I want to talk about BNB. Tell me about its utility, and also some of your favorite bits about it and what people may not actually know about certain types of utility that it can provide.
Sure. BNB started as a ERC20 token, and it's got a lot more use cases and over the last 3 years. And to be honest, there's probably a lot of use cases I don't even know about. But BNB initially you can get trading discounts. Most people don't. I just did a tweet yesterday when my Twitter account was still working. I did a poll. Actually, of all my followers, about 33% of the people doesn't know that you can get a discount on trading fees when you hold Bitcoin when you hold Binance coin in Binance. So like a third of my followers doesn't know that, and there's some people who follow me. So there's a lot of use cases that BNB has that people don't know. BNB can be used on the Binance Chain, the Binance DEX, Binance Smart Chain, and it can be used in a lot of our ecosystem players. Including like booking flights, paying for hotels, etc. My most favorite one now is actually just online shopping. So now we're rolling out the Binance card, so it's a credit card that we provided by one of our partners, and we have an integration where when you swipe that card, you can apply that card on Binance.com if you're in France or Spain right now, and we are rolling out, and that was only rolled out yesterday. And we'll be adding more countries over time. But once you have the card, and you get a virtual card first and then the physical card later, And then once you have the card, just use that as any regular credit card online. The best part is whenever you spend online, it deducts crypto directly from your account. For me, that's a huge add. It means that I no longer need to think about, I gotta sell some crypto into fiat or stable coin, move that, convert to fiat, get that into a bank account, and then use that to pay for my credit card. So now everything stays in crypto. So that's kind of my new favorite right now, and I'm shopping like crazy right now, which I usually don't do. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, BNB has many other utilities. It's gonna take too long to iterate through all of them.
Yeah, well, look, you mentioned shopping, so that's fantastic. And I want to wish you guys congratulations for that release yesterday that you mentioned, and that's really exciting. I'm excited to try it. I love any new product in crypto that is looking just to make our daily lives easier, actual day-to-day adoption for the actual user, right there directly at the forefront. So that's really exciting. But I want to know, are you still carrying out BNB coin burns? Because the team actually announced that the majority of the core BNB will burn. So talk to me about the status of this.
Sure. Yes, we're still doing that, and the next one is in the next 1 or 2 days, actually. So the BNB burn is when in our white paper we committed that so when BNB was issued, there was 200 million BNB created, and we committed to burn 100 million of it. So 200 million BNB created. We did an ICO, sold about 100 million, so sold about half of the total supply. And at the same time, we said we will use all of our businesses' revenues, profits to burn it over time, initially roughly about 20% of our profits, and we're continuing with that. So and we will burn 100 million BNB altogether. So eventually there'll only be 100 million BNB left. So if you think about it, we sold 100 million for about $15 million about 3 years ago. That was our ICO fundraising, and we're gonna buy it back slowly over time, and then we burn it, and there will be 100 million of BNB left. So that's what we have done, and to date, I think tomorrow also, the next burn is the 12th burn. To date, I think we will burn about $300 million worth of BNB. And this only represents about 12% of what we're supposed to burn. So there's still 80-something% left. So if you think about it, we sold that BNB for $15 million 3 years ago. 3 years later, we already spent more than $300 million to buy only 12% of that back and burn it, and there's still 87% more to go. So that's how it works. And so it looks like we still have a few years to go to get it. So that's the BNB burn.
Yeah, but you're on track for it. So this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm just so excited to see everything that's going on with Binance. And we haven't actually seen many IEOs in a while. So tell me, what are the plans for future IEOs?
Yes, so we are still doing IEOs. We actually been preparing for a long time. The last IEO was in April, so it's been it's been 3 months since the last one. It was not by design. We wanted to do roughly a month or so, and we want to continue with that plan. But one thing is, we don't really control the pace. We talk to different projects. There's a very long preparation process for IEO projects. We need to do very heavy, in-depth due diligence of projects. We work very closely with different projects. We do token economics advisory for them. We tell them, look, the portion you're selling is too much, too little. The team reserve is too large, too little. How do you plan to use the foundation coins? So we get into a lot of details with that. So we want to, number one, we want to make sure that we protect our users so that we don't facilitate scams, people who are not very serious with their projects. Number two is we want to help the projects grow in the right way. You don't want to oversell, you don't want to undersell, you don't want to price it too high, you don't want to price it too low. So typically a preparation process like that takes somewhere around 6 to 9 months at least. So sometimes project teams take longer to do some stuff. Sometimes we want to time that with their testnet release or mainnet release, etc. So there's a lot of variables we don't control in the timing. It's not like we can control one a month like clockwork. So just in the last few months, it's just that there wasn't a lot. But we do have a few very strong candidates in the pipeline that's coming up really, really soon. So hopefully this month we could have one this month, but we're already halfway through. But it's not stopped. It sometimes takes time, and it's just that we in the last 3 months or so, none of the projects are quite ready just yet. So but the IEO will continue. It is my fundamental belief that blockchain fundraising is a killer app. This is the first time as humans we're able to raise money globally, and potentially in smaller increment amounts, and we can. And also as individual investors or as small investors, we now have a chance to invest in projects we like all around the world, and potentially in very small amounts. I can invest like a couple $100 into a project. So this is the first time we have this ability, and I think this ability will continue to help entrepreneurs and investors around the world. At the same time, I want to caution people that investing in early stage project is a very high risk endeavor. The majority of projects will fail. So the majority of the returns will maybe zero if you hold the coin long term. Luckily, the coins will have liquidity very soon after they trade. But still, it's a very high risk. Only a few projects will succeed. So do invest very carefully. So, but the IEO will continue.
Yeah, some very good advice there, particularly after, we saw that Twitter hack, because people, for some reason, I don't want to use the term gullible, but people seem to get fooled very easily. So, definitely do your own research. But speaking of DeFi, it's one of those buzzwords. It seems to be the year of DeFi. I just want to sort of touch on that for the minute, because Binance Chain actually entered into DeFi with DEX. So what do we look forward to with Binance Chain then?
So I think DeFi is a pretty hot. Again, it's a very new area, so there could be a lot of risk. So it is very hot. So everyone's rushing in, and a lot of DeFi projects token prices are rising pretty quickly. I also want to warn or advise people that, again, I think given a new sector, the rate of failure is high. So statistics say that most of the projects will fail. Only a very small number of them will succeed. But the smaller number that will succeed may go up many, many times. So it's high risk, high reward type of situation. So do be prepared for the risks and don't invest anything you couldn't lose. For Binance Chain, we just want to build high performance applications. So the first application that's very obvious to us is to build a DEX. So we built Binance Chain we started in 2018, released it into early 2019, and together with a Binance DEX, which is a very high performance decentralized exchange, and where you hold your own keys. There's no custody of your keys on the centralized exchange, etc. So that's going relatively well, but DEXs are smaller than centralized exchanges by far. We also released the Binance Smart Chain, which is a Ethereum compatible smart contract capable chain. So it's fully compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine and supports Solidity as a programming language. And we want to make it, so that's a feature that our users requested very heavily. So we want to provide features people want. So people want to be able to, right now it's very easy to issue tokens on the Binance Chain, but before this, they didn't have a smart contract ability. So now they will have it. So the Binance Smart Chain will be released very soon as well. And so hopefully we'll just provide another choice for people to build DeFi applications plus other blockchain-based applications. So we just want to give more choices and want to build more infrastructure for this space. That's pretty much it.
Nice, just continuously pushing forward with adoption, pushing forward with creating that better user experience. So just finally then, I want to get your thoughts on Ethereum 2.0 and other altcoins, which ones you're interested in, any interesting projects that have taken your interest recently.
Sure. I think Ethereum 2.0, I think, again, I think I got to explain this very carefully. even with Ethereum 1.0, I was skeptical. So I was chatting with Vitalik. He was crashing over at my place, and back in
I love
2015.
that.
So
That's brilliant.
I knew him I knew him from end of 2013 as soon as we entered the industry, and he was still working for Bitcoin Magazine back then. I think I just started Ethereum, and so 2014 he launched his ICO, and the first ICO in history, I think, and I was talking with him, and then in May 2015 he came over to Tokyo, crashed over at my place, and I remember I was telling him that. I was like, dude, like this is too big of a bite to chew. You're gonna have a turning complete language on a blockchain. That's crazy. That's really hard to do. And I told him that, and he's like, no, we can build it. And I was like, okay, good luck. So I actually didn't invest in Ethereum in the early days, so I missed out on that. But to his credit, he did deliver. So it's a very ambitious project, and he delivered. Ethereum 2.0 is, again, a much harder than even 1.0, I think, because once the product is out, you have to worry about all the backward compatibility issues, everything. So I think it's, but again, they've delayed the release of that over and over again. But I think that's understandable given such an ambitious project. So it looks like they're going to finally ship sometime this quarter or next quarter, hopefully. So I do hope to see it very soon. I think it will be a huge booster to the entire crypto industry if they can do that. And I will also be patient if they don't deliver within the next 6 months. Let's just give them a bit more time. So I'm skeptical on the timing on the actual they can deliver in the next 6 months. But I've been wrong before, so I could be wrong again. I do really hope to see it deliver very soon. I think it will be fantastic for the overall industry. And for the other question, altcoins, obviously my favorite altcoin is BNB. So on this question, I get asked that a lot, but unfortunately, I can't really comment on specific coins. Like as an exchange operator, if I do comment on like, I like coin A versus not coin B, I forget to mention coin B, it creates more issues than it solves. So I don't really invest in any other altcoin. I'm actually not an investor. I don't really trade. I think there's many strong projects in the space, but there's also a very large number of projects that would eventually tend to zero. So I think I would recommend everyone to do your own research, and only invest in projects that you believe will have a future, and just don't follow trading advice on Twitter. So yeah, so I think basically everyone will have their own favorite ones. My one's obviously BNB.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't expect you to say anything else. But I think you make a fair point, absolutely, about Ethereum, and people are complaining that it's delayed. We've heard people complain about Cardano being delayed. But I just think it's one of those things that you've just got to get right, because you've got people invested in you, and you cannot get it wrong. But Cici, I want to thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on the line today. Absolutely brilliant hearing about the upcoming updates for Binance. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for having me. Yeah, see you next time.
See you soon.